Hi everyone, quick disclaimer here for our podcast. We just want to let everyone know that even though we are therapists, this podcast and the contents of our podcast do not serve as therapy and they are not a replacement for therapy. And action.
Hi, welcome back to the Y Ahora Qué podcast, as in sacamos la carrera, tuvimos los niños, y ahora qué? This is Anna.
This is Emily.
And for today's topic, we're kind of keeping it on trend with everything else that happened recently. And the title of this podcast is Y el halftime show qué?
Because I think we've all been thinking about that halftime show. I think that's the only thing that's been on my Instagram and on my Twitter, like every social media platform. It's also been a trend of conversations with people. I think part of why it's been on everyone's minds, we can't stop talking about it, we can't stop thinking about it, the significance of that show. Like, one, it was fun, right? Like, it was like a fun show. I was like, oh, okay, it was cool. But there was a lot of controversy, right, around that show. I think it coming right after Benito won the Grammy, like the first ever Grammy for his album, and like an all Spanish album, was huge.
And not only that, like this was also after he announced that he was not touring in the US this year because of all of the fears around ICE. And so this was like his first actual performance in the US, and then it just happened to be one of the NFL halftime shows. And again, like solely in Spanish, which has never happened in the history of the NFL halftime shows. So it's a pretty big deal.
And I mean, I think, like, I feel like it doesn't need to be said, but like we are gonna say it, right? The political climate that we're currently in, right? Like, why did he announce he wasn't gonna be touring here anymore? Because of the political climate. Like, why is this an even bigger deal currently than it maybe would have been like a few years back? You know, the political climate. Like, I think we can't ignore that as much as some people may try. I think, for starters, like, the things we noticed in the show that were culturally significant.
Yeah. Like the for the wedding performance. Well, it wasn't a performance; it was a real wedding. So
It was a real wedding.
yeah, it turns out this couple invited Bad Bunny to their wedding, and instead he invited them to get married on during his performance, and so it was an actual wedding. These people got married there. But where I was getting at was they had the chairs pulled out, like we were talking about in our last episode, and there was a little kid sleeping there, and just like that's just such a big thing at Hispanic parties. Whether it's a wedding, a quinceañera, baile, whatever it is, they bring their kids. The kid is there, like we didn't leave him at home, but he's there sleeping on between two chairs.
And it's because the parents weren't ready to leave. You know, they're like, we're not leaving at 8 p.m. so you can make your 8:30 bedtime or whatever. It's like, we're leaving when we're ready to go. And so you just end up sleeping there and like covered in a jacket, right? Like we said last time, just like, you know, they're using the jacket as a blanket. And then he just gets woken up and goes to play. On the thing with the wedding, though, a couple also got engaged. Did you see that?
Yeah. So that was also a real engagement.
Apparently that was also real. I don't know, like, I don't think I've seen anything else big about it. I think because the wedding was like obviously like bigger. But yeah, I saw like when he gives the ring to the guy and he
Yeah.
stops by that little stand after. Yeah.
It was so fast. So you know what I think I assumed? I assumed that it was the same couple and it was showing the storyline of like they got engaged and then they got married. I think that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, no, I think it was a real engagement. Like I think people got engaged and then people got married.
That's kind of cool. And then there was like a little table with these girls like at a nail salon, and like they were getting their
Mm-hmm.
nails done, which is also pretty big culturally, right? Like Hispanic women love getting their nails done. That's just something they do. Like what's that thing? Antes muerta que sencilla.
Yeah. Antes muerta que sencilla. Tu, 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 tu. Yes, that's another big thing. I feel like, and the designs and things like that. I thought one thing I thought was kind of funny, even though it wasn't like intended, maybe, but maybe from how I grew up, how I saw it. But like I grew up with a big family, like in one household, right? And I think it was funny that the casita had like a bunch of people on it, and like I know that it was like maybe more for show or like more like them dancing and stuff like that. But I just thought it was funny because it was just like that kind of is, or like even if they're not all living there, like I think part of why my family felt so big was like even though my uncles didn't live with us, right? And my cousins, all of them didn't live with us. Some of us did live together, they were always at our house. Like they were always a big part of that. We saw them every day. So I just liked the like house being full of people. For me, I
Mhm.
think was like, oh yeah, like big families and like multi-generational too.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's also very customary because even for me, like I grew up in a multi-generational home, and then yeah, we spent like I remember spending every day after school at my aunt's house with my cousins.
Hmm.
We would be there on school nights till pretty late in the evening, and then we'd go home. But like, yeah, we were always together in the evenings or on the weekends. We would go. They would either come to my house or we would be at their house. But like, it was always more than one family unit spending time together in the same under the same roof.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought those things, like little things, were pretty cool. And even if they weren't intentional, just it being like culturally that's not uncommon, right? And so it still kind of like stands out if that was your experience, where it's kind of like, oh yeah, the house is full.
And will you still hear it? Like, I guess I don't know, like, I don't know how aware non-Hispanic people are of this, but like, it is very common to this day for there to be people, like a multi-generational households. Like, your parents live there, you live there, your kids live there, and so now it's like the grandparents, the parents, and the next generation. That's still very common.
It really is just like they play a big role, like your grandparents help raise you.
Mhm.
Did you see that one, the bushes were people, which like makes sense because that's the easiest way to set up for something like that, like quickly set up and take down, like putting individual bushes everywhere. But did you see the bush that had the Mexico flag? Like snuck in a little mini Mexico flag and was like waving it at one point.
I don't think I saw that. I feel
Oh
like I
yeah, it was so
missed
exciting.
several pieces just because of how fast it was all moving. Like I was trying to take everything in, but it was just so quick.
No, I didn't see it during the show. Like I said, my feeds have pretty much all been this. And so, like, I'm seeing people, like, point out, like,
Hmm.
oh, did anyone see this or did anyone notice this? And I think that's another cool thing. Like, there was so much going on. Like, you see stuff after, like, you don't see it all in the moment because, like you said, it's like, one, you're hyped, everything's moving really fast. Entonces, no ves lo que está pasando por aquí, por atrás, and especially because that wasn't part of it, like it was like they snuck it in and swung it, so you weren't like really focused on that, but that was pretty funny to me. And then I think, of course, we can't not talk about him ending by saying, God bless America, and then listing out every country,
That
every
makes
continent. Yes, I was like, oh crap, he's listing everybody out.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna forget the ahora todos quieren ser latinos, pero
Yeah.
les falta sazón. I think that, like, I was honestly like, is he gonna say it? When the song started, I was like, is he gonna say it? Like, is he gonna say it? Then he did, and I was like, yes. It just felt like he didn't really like hold back on like
Hmm.
some of the things, like
Oh,
knowing it was already a controversial show, right?
no, no, he definitely didn't hold back.
One thing that I think we had like I've seen you post about and stuff like that was just like him giving his little self the Grammy, and saying like para ti, and
Hmm.
just like turning around and saying like, I don't know if it was like immediately after, but just like I'm here because I like kept believing in myself and like you should too. And I think like those little messages that like I don't know, you don't have a lot of like Latino like big artists or things like that maybe like I don't know, you don't get that messaging, like you get it from like your family and things like that and people around you. Not to like say it's not significant, like it still is, right? But it was kind of cool to be like, oh, look at that, like another person who made it really big.
Yeah, yeah.
On that topic though, are not not a part we liked about the halftime show.
Yeah, the only non-Hispanic artist that was also a part of it, Lady Gaga, which like I like Lady Gaga. I do. I really do. I think she's really, really talented. I've seen her in many different roles and performing various different like genres of music, and she's really good. But she's not Latina and she doesn't speak or sing in Spanish, so what was she doing there?
Yeah, I feel like I was also just kind of like, when she came out, I was like, oh, really? Well, and then like we kind of were hyped up too, I think, because like, he like, when he's coming out of the casita, he does the like classic reggaeton songs,
Oh, the
and then
gasolina.
it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, and so like it was kind of like, oh, he's gonna bring someone out, and I think like Carol G was already there, and things like that, and so it's like, I think we thought he was gonna bring someone else out, and I know that was like, paying like kind of like respect to like the reggaeton que vino antes que él,
Hmm.
but then Gaga comes out, and I was like,
What does she have to
what?
do with anything?
Yeah, I was like, oh, it shouldn't have been her. You could have given the light to someone else. I don't know. I don't think the song really fit either.
No.
Like, it didn't fit the vibe. But I just laughed because I had that in my head. I don't know if you've seen that clip. It's Kanye West, and he's talking about how like you can kind of like put yourself in anything when you're big. I don't know, and he's like, cause look at Gaga. He's like, she's the creative director of Polaroid, and then he's like, I like some of the Gaga songs. What does she know about cameras?
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I saw people posting it, and I was laughing, 'cause just like, what does she know
Hmm.
about like Puerto Rico?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or
Well,
like the
even with that, there was a post I reposted, and it said something about along the lines of like this person hopes that like Bad Bunny sings in Spanish and he sings at such a fast pace and such a authentic like accent that like the translator apps and translator devices, all these things can't pick up what he's saying. And you know what? I can attest that that did happen because I used one of his sounds for a TikTok video and it couldn't pick up the captions. Like I wanted it to include the captions and I had to type it in because it wasn't picking up the words. Anyway, in that post, it was also saying something along the lines of like, not everything is for everyone. And
Mhm.
him performing in Spanish isn't for everyone. Not everybody is meant to understand what he's saying or the language, right? It's directed at a very specific population.
Yeah.
And so it's like, again, like, what is Gaga doing there? She has nothing to do with any of anything related to
Yeah,
Latino culture.
it's not for everyone. Like, she wasn't needed. Well, and
Mm-mm.
I think with that too, like, I've been seeing a lot of people talk, and I think it's really important too, like, people being like, it should have been in English because we don't understand Spanish, versus like people seeing that and being like, dang, I wish I knew Spanish. Like, I wish I knew how to speak Spanish. And it's just like seeing that as like, it's something you're lacking, Like, if you can't speak Spanish, like, that's just something you're lacking, right? And
Mhm.
like how you said, not everything is for everyone. So it's like, it doesn't need to be tailored to you. And I
Mhm.
think that's like such a big piece on like, I don't know what's going on in the world overall, where it's just like the world does not revolve around you. And I think that's the thing. Like when people say like America, like it's just like, we're the United States of America. The
Mhm.
United States. Like it's, we are not just America, right? Like America's a whole continent, and it includes many different countries. And I
Mhm.
think that's like what he did too when he listed them all out. It was just like, and I saw a tweet talking about it, and it was just like, it's so centered, but like, America, you are not the center. Like, you are not the center of everything, as much as they like to act like they are.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true.
It was funny though, because one of my friends was like, she was like, they're saying that Gaga was a diversity hire.
Yeah, there we go. Flip it back around on them. He was the diversity hire in this situation.
Well, and then
Not
I've seen
diversity
like,
hire, I guess.
I've seen tweets too where people are like, this is what diversity means. It means erasing you. And it's like, oh, so you agree, like, we should all be included. We should all be represented.
I wonder if there was more to that though. Like, I wonder if there was more behind why Gaga over anybody else. Because he very easily could have chosen anyone else. So, I don't know. I haven't seen
Yeah.
anything about it, but I'm curious.
he's a big fan of Gaga, was from what I've seen. Like
Mm,
she's like an idol for him, which like granted she is like an icon for like
pop
LGBTQ
culture.
plus, so like that is too. But I also was like, yeah, I get that. And like, are you telling me there aren't any like Spanish artists that are also icons in and of
Mhm.
themselves? Like I think that's another piece. But yeah, I was not too crazy about that, and I was kind of happy to see I wasn't the only one, because in the moment I was like, oh, like it
Yeah.
was like a lull in it for me where I was like, um, what?
What are we doing here? Yeah.
And then it ended, and then I was like, okay, we're back.
Yeah. Then I guess on the other side of things, there apparently was another halftime show going on at the same time. I had no idea honestly until I think a whole day later, and I knew there was going to be another performer, but I think I assumed that was the opener, like this that they were going to open and then Bad Bunny
Um,
would come on. But no, apparently it was a whole other halftime show that was happening at the same time. I didn't even see it or see clips of it, to be honest.
yeah, Green Day was the opener for the Super Bowl. I was seeing stuff about it that they were gonna do like a separate halftime show, but it was just like I didn't watch any clips or anything of it. I didn't stop because I feel like that's still supporting them, and I was like, no, I'm not even giving them the time of day for that. But I did see that that was happening, and I was just so dumb. Like, it's like you're really telling me like you are that racist
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
you can't watch this show.
Where did that one take place? Do you know?
I don't actually know where it took place.
So we have no information on it other than like apparently there was another halftime show that I didn't look up the data, but I saw somewhere that it didn't get as many views anyway. So
Yeah, it wasn't even allowed to stream in like certain places either, which is good. But that on the topic of like views, this was like the highest viewed halftime show too. And it was funny because like apparently after it finished, like the views dropped. Like the Super Bowl people who were watching the
oh,
Super Bowl were
oh,
just like,
I've talked to plenty of people who just watched the halftime show performance, like they weren't watching the game, which I've done
yeah,
in the past, right? Like I've literally just watched to watch the performances, but this one I think was just an even bigger drop in that.
yeah. My cousin was trying to get me to watch it, and I watched, I think, just the second quarter. And when I say watched, I mean like it was on while I was doing other stuff because
Yeah.
I didn't want to miss the start of the show. And afterwards, my cousin was like, "Watch the whole thing, though. Stay and watch the game." He's like, "Get into football." No, sorry, Alan, but I hate to break it to you, I did not watch the whole game. I got off after the Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah.
Well, and the game itself sucked. It was very uninteresting pretty much the whole time. It sucked.
I
Like nothing interesting was happening. Nobody was scoring. Nobody was making any touchdowns until like I think almost halftime, if not after that. I don't even remember anymore. But it was pretty boring. I'm not a
yeah, it
huge
was
football person, but I've seen better games in my lifetime.
more like edge of the seat. I don't really know football, but I'm still like, ooh, this person's winning. See, and I was like, I had it on, and while I was on, I don't know, they went up like 2 points, and I
Mm.
texted my cousin. I was like, when did they make a touchdown? Because I hadn't seen or heard. Like, if I had heard the commentary, I'd be like, oh my god, like about a touchdown, I would have watched it because I feel like at least clips like that are cool to see. Um, and then he was like, no, they were like field goals or whatever. Like they did a kick and they
Yeah,
got points like that, and I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. Not amusing at
But
all.
on that note, the team that won, the Seahawks, they are owned by a woman, and she like hates Trump and like has not given any money to Trump or anything like that apparently. So that was another win, I think too, where it was just like I was like, all right, and at least the team that won is like aligned.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that was another piece, was just like the fact that people watch the other thing people that was put on, and I was like, I don't know, like what a privilege to not like care or understand or even know like the significance of what's happening. And I mean understand loosely too. Like I'm like, I think you if you put any like one brain cell to work, I feel like you can understand why it's significant now. Then I was like, God, what a privilege to just
Yeah.
like
To get to
kind
ignore
of
it.
watch it.
Yeah. Well, and it just goes way beyond political views, way beyond being Republican or being Democrat. Like it just comes back to human values and the human in you and caring about other lives. Um, yeah, I think that's my
And
spiel on that piece.
yeah, I think along with the like not understanding or like seeing the significance, something else I've been seeing is like people like pointing out the common experience of sleeping on the chairs at parties and stuff like that. And then I see like people responding, they're like, oh, Latinos think that they invented like taking naps on chairs, or just kind of like,
Mm,
I don't know, like just saying dumb things like that. And I'm just like, did you not read? Like, it's the cultural experience. It's the fact that like every kid or something has probably done this, has
mhm.
seen it done, right? Like, I feel like
It's the whole like it's a universal experience amongst Latinos.
yeah, and it's like no one's saying we invented things, right? Like I feel like that's always an argument. Like, oh, you guys think you invented that, or you think, and it's just like it's what we're talking about is the experience, like you said, the universal experience of this, not that we made it or anything like that. It's just like everyone understood it, right?
Mhm,
Like everyone who saw that was like, oh yeah.
mhm.
So, yeah, I think it was a really good show. I actually have never watched a halftime show before. I've just never really like, I think last year's I did watch similar like culture like not cultural significance for me personally, but like the significance of that happening, right?
Mhm.
In the political climate we were in, that has worsened,
Yeah.
but that I did. But before that, I've never actually been interested in watching a halftime show. So yeah, I feel like that was really good and had a lot of significance, and I don't think we're gonna shut up about it as much as certain people may hope that we do. So yeah,
Well, that's that. We just thought it was worth bringing up because we loved it, and most of the people we've talked to have loved it. I guess everybody I've talked to has loved it. I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about the halftime performance show, so it just felt right to bring light to some of those things that we saw throughout. But thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time listening, we have one other episode that came before this where we introduced ourselves a little bit and kind of like why we created this podcast. But yeah, thank you for listening, and we hope you listen next time. And quoting Bad Bunny as it's all tied in together. Nunca dejé de creer en mí, tú también deberías de creer en ti.
yay!
Bye.